to invite the next speaker. Before that, yesterday, I hope everyone present here have attended the yesterday session as well. So, yesterday we have learned about many of the psychology aspects, the way human minds work, and how it is helping in criminal investigation and all. And now, our next speaker will take us to the future perspective of forensic psychology. So, without any further delay, I would like to invite Dr. Sharon P. Thomas, Assistant Professor, JAIN University, for presenting the topic Forensic Psychology for years to come. Dr. Sharon Thomas has done her PhD in criminology from the University of Madras, and she's a recipient of Indian Society of Victimology for Best Research Paper Award. She has presented papers in various national and international conferences, seminars, and symposium. She has been an invited speaker at national and international platforms, and a number of research papers adds to her credit. So her area of academic competence are victimology, criminology, terrorism, conflict studies, war crimes, and forensic psychology. She is also an entrepreneur, and she is giving back to the society by associating the number of NGOs and support the local artisans and less privileged groups. So I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Anju. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you see me now?
Yes.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Anju, for this beautiful introduction. Good morning, everyone. I am more than happy to have given this opportunity to talk on forensic psychology for years to come. Before I start off with the advancement of the field, it is necessary that I ponder on where forensic psychology as a discipline stands now. Forensic psychology was officially recognized as a specialization within psychology by the American Psychological Association in 2001, hardly 20 years back. In simple words, forensic psychology is the application of psychology in legal arena. Though law and psychology are two separate disciplines, they are united by their interest in human behavior. While psychology seeks to understand and explain human behavior, the law seeks to regulate them. Both fields strive to make assumptions about the reason for a particular behavior in human, and the preventive measures and copying strategies which can be adopted to change such behavior. Scholars around the world have identified this important overlap between the two distinct fields and is working towards its effectiveness. We can say that the duty of forensic psychologist right now in legal arena is almost limited to the first one. We all know it's assessment of mental condition, which is analyzing the mental condition with regard to the insanity plea, which is mostly or at times the tactic adapted by people to avoid death sentence and imprisonment. The second one is prediction of violence and risk management. Usually determine the violent tendencies in a person. The concept of self-harm and other harm is mainly applied, but an accused is imprisoned or he's set free. The third is assessment of child custody in divorce, which is analyzing the mental health of a couple for the custody of a child. And the fourth is a competency to stand a trial. Section 84 of IPC talks about the act of person of unsound mind. Here, the capability to stand trial and mental state at the time of the offense is assessed. But the problem lies is that there is two major criticism which hindrance forensic psychology from establishing its place in law. The popular notion that psychology can only render aid in areas like criminal law and family dispute. The second is that we all know law is definite and law requires certainty, but psychology is a science and science cannot be certain. But when you look into the future of forensic psychology as a discipline, one can assure that this particular notion or belief should be broken. It is a fact that as long as law embodies the theories of behavior, the legal doctrine will reflect the basic assumptions of human nature. And hence, we believe, and it's true, that forensic psychology will always remain as an integral part of legal arena. Now we can say that forensic psychology is at a crossroad. Today, the role of psychology in law is expanding and rapidly changing. It is indeed commendable that each of the major psychological subdivisions has contributed to the development on legal issues. When it comes to cognitive aspect, they reflect on eyewitness testimony, developmental aspect in children's testimony, social aspect in explaining more at the time of protest, protest, strikes or dharnas, and clinical aspect in the assessment of competence, biological aspect with the help of polygraph, brain mapping, and an industrial organization identifying employee exploitation, sexual harassment in workplace. In spite of all of this, the legal background of forensic psychology in India, I can say it is insubstantial. Here, an effective, or you can say an effective standard operating procedure has to be enforced in the grassroots level. The forensic psychologist should assist the police in investigation of cases, provide advice while interrogating suspects or witness, work as an expert in witness in the court, conduct research, and so on. But the most effective method, according to me, or according to the studies or the literature around the world, we can say that the most effective method is a role change of a forensic psychologist from a trial consultant to an investigator itself. Because literature shows that psychological application in the way of investigation proves to be more appropriate than conventional and the third-degree methods. Forensic psychology must make an effort to respond to current changes which we can see around the world, if it has to be laid or aid in the administration of justice. Right. This was the introduction actually prepared for you people. And here from this, I'll actually discussing about the few methods proven to be effective in crime investigation. The first one is the RAID technique.
I would like to conclude your talk in like 10 to 15 minutes.
Sure, sure, I'll do that. Yes, don't worry. Yeah, the first one is the RAID technique. It involves three components: factual analysis, interviewing, which is also known as behavior analysis, and interrogation. Factual analysis is an inductive approach where each suspect is evaluated with respect to specific observations relating to the crime. Here, other than crime scene analysis, the information learned about a suspect, which is the opportunity and access to commit crime, behavior before and after the crime, suspects' guilt or innocence based on biosocial status, that can be gender, race, occupation, marital status, and evaluation of physical and circumstantial evidence is also carried out. Often factual analysis is misunderstood as criminal profiling, but these two are not same. When it comes to criminal profiling, it is to identify characteristics about the type of person who would commit the crime based on analysis of the crime scene. This is a deductive procedure, which makes general inference from specific observations. It serves more like a guide, we can say, to locate possible suspects. On the other hand, factual analysis is an inductive approach where each individual suspect is evaluated with respect to specific observations relating to the crime. Consequently, factual analysis relies not only on crime scene analysis, but also on information learned about each suspect. For example, I'll say if the crime under investigation appear to be spontaneous and motivation by a real and immediate need. Here we can actually take two factors, which is spontaneous, the other one is immediate need. When the investigation goes on, each suspect would be evaluated with respect to their personality to evaluate these two factors, which is impulsive spontaneous behavior and their motives, which is extent of immediate needs. You can see that here there is in fact a personalized question is catered for each suspect to undergo the investigation. Okay, the second component in RAID's technique is behavioral analysis, or known as the interview, the technique. It is an non-accusatory question and answer session, which involves both standard investigative questions and structured behavioral provoking questions. In this technique, the investigator first asks background questions to get personal informations about the suspect, and allow the investigator to evaluate the suspect's verbal and non-verbal behavior. That is how a suspect behave in a normal condition. The investigator then asks behavior provoking question intent to elicit different verbal and non-verbal response. The investigator will also ask some questions related to the crime and investigation during this stage. On the other hand, the third way of, the third method of way technique is actually interrogation way, which is an accusatory process, which means investigator accuse the suspect of committing a crime. This happens when the investigator is reasonably certain of the suspect's involvement in the issue and is certain about the suspect is guilty. Here, the trick is to give the suspect a feel that he is proven guilty. Maybe he must not have been proven guilty, but that's a trick in the game. And some of the tactics which used are, the first one we can say it is a positive confrontation. Here the investigator tells the suspect that the evidence collected demonstrates that he is guilty and behaves in such a way that the person is guilty. The second one is theme development. Here the investigator present a moral justification, which is popularly known as theme, for the offense, such as placing the moral blame on someone else or outside the circumstances. The investigator present the theme in a monologue usually, and in a sympathetic manner. Here the investigator gives a picture that the blame is truly not on the suspect and there is actually a third party involved, and the drama or the story revolves around the third party. Then comes the third one, which is handling denials. In this stage, the suspect is not given permission to speak and he is denied. This is because a theory says that if an accusation is made on an innocent victim, he is less likely to ask for permission and more likely to deny the accusation promptly and clearly. But a guilty person will seek and wait for the permission of the investigator, and thus the suspect can be revealed. The fourth one is handling the suspect's passive mood. The investigator must procure the suspect's attention so that that suspect focuses on the investigator's theme rather than on their punishment and after effects. The investigator should identify the theme of presentation and concentrate on the reasons the suspect stating a psychological justification, and continue to display an understanding and sympathetic approach should be there. Urging this sympathetic approach actually urges the suspect to tell the truth. The fifth one is presenting an alternative of questions. The investigator should present two choices here in this stage, assuming the suspect's guilt and develop a logical extension from the theme. For example, we can say that the investigator can ask the suspect, did you plan this, or this thing happened all of a sudden or as part of a movement? Here the suspect will unknowingly choose a more understandable side of the alternative, which can be that he didn't plan the crime, which actually means that it happened all of a sudden and it was an accident, or even he can deny the statement completely. The sixth one is, it's towards, in between I have actually cut off to 3 points because I think there'll be a lot of time. So we'll come to the conclusion that is actually the 6th point, having the suspect orally relate to various details of the offense. So here what actually happens is that after the suspect accepts one side of the alternative, which is he admits that he is guilty, the investigator should immediately respond with a statement of reinforcement acknowledging the admission. The investigator then seeks to obtain brief oral review of the basic events before asking more detailed questions. The studies prove that statistically Rate's method is more efficient, and with the combination of these 3 elements, it can the accuracy level is higher when compared to independent evaluation taken alone. Okay, with this, we'll go to the second method of investigation, which is Kainos' interview method. It involves analyzing a person's behavior to assess deception and is similar to Rate technique. Kainos is the word of study which actually deals with non-verbal communication. During the analysis phase, the interviewer uses several techniques to observe and analyze the subject behavior, which involves orientation, then narration, cross-examination, and resolution. It is said that people are better able to control verbal conversations or verbal cues and than non-verbal signals, and unconsciously they will give out non-verbal cues to the investigator, which we popularly known as body language. So during the first phase, the investigator gather information and tailor interrogation in those areas most sensitive to the subject. This method is called breaking the cycle of deception. During the interrogation, the negative emotional response given will identify the suspect. The third model, I'm not discussing about the third model. It's actually peace model. It's very popular in UK. And peace means preparation and planning, engage and explain, account, closure, and evaluate. This actually what happens here is under the peace model, investigator allow a suspect to tell his or her story without interruption before presenting the suspect with any contradictions between the story or other evidence. This account of the story is recorded and this is evaluated to identify the suspect. Okay, with this, I'll come to the conclusion of my talk. The future of forensic psychology is not limited to evidence and investigative process. Forensic psychology provides knowledge about the mental state of accused and witness, and also information about the mental distress the crime has caused. Often, the victims are more affected by psychological harm than physical and financial harm. But the tumult surrounding the crime is often forgotten and never addressed. In the global arena, it has been agreed that psychological harm is equally a crime as physical or economic harm. Hence, the punishment given to the crime should be befitting to the crime. It is very much understood that law is same to everyone and cannot be tailor-made. But the pain and agony caused by the crime and the situations which involve the crime should be addressed. And it's actually not happening in our place, to be frank. But so the next one is the role which forensic psychology plays in the legal system. It should be aimed to modify our criminal justice system and helps in maintaining justice, equity, and good conscience. It's true that no legal system is perfect, but forensic psychology should be a step towards making it less imperfect. Keeping the above points in mind, I have made 4 to 5 recommendations. I'll just make a point of it. There should be an effective standard operating procedure and standardized guideline be made in the criminal justice system, which shall suggest where forensic psychology needs to be involved. The second one is forensic psychology can help the lawmaker and the representative in making changes in legislations by providing more accurate information on human perceptions and emotions. The third one is forensic psychology can reduce false confessions and check the veracity of witnesses by adopting psychological models in investigation. And the fourth one is, in order to decrease recidivism, prisons around the country shall have forensic mental health professionals to sustain the path of rehabilitation. And last, the judgment should be pronounced considering the psychological aspect of the accused and victim's mind, which ensures justice in its real meaning. Thank you. Before I wind up, I would like to say that I'll place my sincere thanks to the JACS Foundation, eminent invited speakers, audience for their patience. I also acknowledge my college, my colleagues, and students for all the support, and the JAIN deemed to be university for giving me this opportunity to be here today. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this valuable knowledge sharing. You can see that how much this area of psychology has advanced and how important it is in coming times. So guys, we have to learn a lot because these theories and all are very important for creating great foundation. As the previous speaker also told, we have to be very innovative and we have to study and smart to be smart. So thank you for sharing this.
I'll just take 1 second, Anju. I wanted to tell you about it. So students, I just want to tell you one thing. You don't have to worry about the job opening or how you're going to sustain. See, I just pass on one knowledge which my professor or my guide actually gave it to me. You excel in what you do. That's what you have to do. There is a lot of competition. There's a lot of competition. If you are not smart enough, someone will take the job away from you. So you excel in your profession, and there should be no one to beat you. And trust me, job and opportunity will come after. You don't have to go after that. So that's one thing I actually want to tell the young generation. So please do work on it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was really a good guidance that we can get. Thank you so much. And one student has asked a query, how to choose what kind of interrogation should be used, which type of interrogation we should choose for a particular case.
See, it truly depends on the experience, I will tell you, because once you see the study or once you get the case, you will know what approach should be taken. So that's why I said there is actually behavior analysis, and you do a background study of the case, and you'll be able to know which one to choose, because it depends. It's tailor-made. It can. That's what I was talking about. The approach should be tailor-made. Even the law should be tailor-made. If you ask me, I know that will not happen. So because I mean, when it comes to psychology, no person is alike. Like, I am different from you. You're different from your colleague. So tailor-made approach should be always done, and for that you need a proper experience. Yes, I should say that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that was really an insightful talk. So we have few more talks left, and I request all the coming speakers to conclude their talks in 10 to 15 minutes because we have a constraint of time. Thank you so much. So next topic is really interesting one, because I'll tell you something. Some of you might have put their parents' signature at least once in their life during a school days, right? I'm one among them. So have you ever thought what would have happened if all our teachers were handwriting experts then? Okay, jokes apart. So we have